Right. So in today's session, children, we will be looking at how is federalism practiced, right? So the learning objective for today's session would be to understand how is federalism practiced, the linguistic states that were formed after the independence, the language policy adopted by the government. We will also try to understand the center and state relationship and decentralization in India. Right. So moving on to how is federalism practiced. So constitutional provisions are necessary for the success of federalism. But these are not sufficient, I feel. If federal experiment has succeeded in India, it is not merely because of clearly laid out constitutional provisions. The real success of federalism in India can be attributed to the nature of democratic politics in our country. So the way the governance happened, the way the constitutional framework is laid down, the way the powers are decided for each tier of the government, that is the true essence of the federalism that is practiced in our country. Right? So this ensured that the spirit of federalism, respect for diversity, and desire for living together became shared ideals in our country. Right. So for doing all these, there were few measures that were adopted while the constitutional framework was done, and the independence, when India got independence, the states were united. If you remember, we discussed about the unification of these states, right? During the time of independence, there were princely states, there were the territories that were directly under the control of the British. So unification of these princely states and the other territories happened after independence. Now, how all this happened was the different policies that were adopted by the government of our country. So moving on to linguistic states was one such policy adopted by the government. So the creation of the linguistic state was the first and the major test for the democratic politics in our country. Now, in your books, you already have a political map of India. If you look at it, right, you will see that when the journey of democracy began in our country, like when we got independence, the government that was formed was a democratic government in the year 1947. So the states that were there, the territories that were there, have changed through the passage of time, right? So the states that were originally there at the time of independence have changed, have undergone changes in all these years. Now these states were formed on the basis of various features, and see, there is a lot of diversity in our country. So keeping that diverse community in mind, accommodating all the differences in the society, the policies were adopted. Right? So many old states have vanished and many new states have been created. The areas, boundaries, and names of the states have also been changed since then. Right? Some states were created not on the basis of languages, but to recognize the difference based on the culture, ethnicity, or geography. Now, there are people who belong to the tribal communities also, right? There are people who belong to scheduled castes and scheduled tribes. So many ethnic groups, so many different community of people are living in our country. In order to accommodate all that, the linguistic states were created so that the people of speaking the same language live in the same state. Now, when these states were created, it was a thought that it will lead to the disintegration of the country. So people and politicians were very fearful of this fact. But the formation of linguistic states, on the other hand, has made our country more united. It has made the administration easier, right? Moving on to the language policy. I'm happy all the cameras are on. Thank you, children. Moving on to the language policy, right? Now, if the first test was the linguistic states, the second test for Indian Federation is the language policy that is adopted by our country. So our constitution did not give the status of the national language to any one language. Hindi definitely was identified as the official language, but if we talk about Hindi, it is the mother tongue of only about 40% of the people residing in the country. So there are one second. Nida, what's the time? You are very late to the class today. Switch on your camera. So if we see that apart from Hindi, there are other languages and dialects that are also spoken in our country. So in order to safeguard and protect other languages also, 21 other languages were recognized as the scheduled languages by the Constitution, right? So the opportunities that the people got with this, or the benefits that the people got with this policy, was any candidate appearing for any examination for the central government position, they can opt the language of examination with any of these 22 languages that are there, Hindi and the other 21 languages. Even the states have their own official languages, right? So we have already discussed in the first chapter about the Sri Lanka, where Sinhalese were given more importance, right? And the Tamils were, they felt alienated. So that should not happen in the country. Keeping that in mind, 21 other languages also were recognized as the scheduled languages by the Constitution. Okay? So according to the Constitution, the use of English language also for the official purpose was to stop in 1965, but it continued because in our country we have many states that don't speak Hindi or other languages. So English was felt as a common language for the official purpose. The central government responded to it in a positive manner by agreeing to use English along with Hindi for the official purposes. Okay. Now, uh, if the government, the central government is promoting Hindi as the main language or the official language, doesn't mean that the central government is imposing something on the states, right? So the promotion does not mean that the central government can impose Hindi on their states where people speak a different language. Maybe if we talk about Tamil Nadu or Kerala or Karnataka, where the state, the language of the state is not Hindi, right? So they can use English as the official language. That flexibility was shown by the central government, and that a positive decision was taken, and the use of English did not stop in the year 1965, right? Moving on to the center and state relations. Now, it is very important to understand the center and state relation, because restructuring the whole center and state relation is the way in which federalism can be strengthened, right? So how this constitutional arrangement for sharing power work in reality depends largely on the extent how ruling parties and leaders will follow this arrangement, right? So if we take the example from the past, there if a party majority party was able to form the government at the center, it used to happen that the same party had its government in various states also, right? So for a very long time the same party ruled both at the center and in most of the states. So this meant that the state governments did not exercise their rights as the federal units, right? Because the decisions were more influenced by the central government. So the center tried to undermine the power of the states. Now, in those days, the central government would often misuse the powers, or they would also misuse the constitution to dismiss the state governments that were controlled by the rival parties. Suppose the central government, there is one party forming the government, but in the other state, the party is different, right? So they would not treat that particular state with the just policies. They would try to undermine the powers of those state governments where their rival parties have formed the government. So this would undermine the spirit of federalism. Children, are you understanding this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
So then the provisions were made in the constitution where such policies were adopted, where the central government cannot misuse its power to undermine the power of the state government. Suppose we talk about BJP or we talk about Congress or any other party. If one particular party has formed the government at the center, and in a particular state there is a government formed by the Congress or other party, so the central government should not misuse its power to undermine the powers of the state government, right? So there were changes that were made in the policies of, or that some amendments were made in the constitution that came into effect in the year 1990. So all this changed significantly after year 1990, where this period saw the rise of regional parties also. Now, when we talk about the rise of regional parties, it is really important here to understand the coalition governments. Now, when we talk about coalition government, when one majority party is not able to form the government at the center, so it does not get the majority of the votes. So what will it do? So it would take help of the alliances or the parties that are supporting it, the regional parties, to show the majority or prove the majority in the Lok Sabha or in the parliament. So these alliances, these parties will come together and form the party. Now, if we talk about the present government, that is BJP is under the leadership of Mr. Modi, what kind of government is it? Can somebody answer my question? Quickly.
Ma'am, can you repeat the question once again?
The party that has formed the government at present in India under the leadership of Mr. Modi, what kind of government is it?
Ma'am, it's
Is it
single party that got a majority?
very good? So single party won with the majority. So still the alliance parties were supporting BJP, and BJP did not leave the support of its alliance parties and form the government with the majority, right? So we cannot term it as a coalition government. But in the past, if we see the government that was in rule before BJP was UPA under the leadership of Mr. Manmohan Singh, right? So that was a coalition government, because Congress could not win the elections with the majority of vote. It took help from its alliances or from the parties that were supporting it and formed the government. So UPA is United Progressive Alliance that formed the government at the center. So that would be termed as the coalition government when no single party gets the majority of the vote and they take the help of the regional parties to form the government at the center. So this all is started in the year 1990 with the changes or the amendments that were made in the constitution, right? Now, moving on to the decentralization in India, which is a very important aspect. Now, when we talk about decentralization in India, that means we are taking away some of the powers from the state government, from the central government, and dividing the powers, giving it to the local authorities. That means you have taken some powers from the central government and the state government and given to the local grassroots level, right? Why we are doing so? Because people living at the grassroots level will understand the problems of the people better, right? What is happening in the society, what has to be done to come out of that problem. Now, if we have to understand it better, we need to take a small example of your own school. Suppose we take the example of Euro School organization. There are many Euro schools, Kate and Concept, no, many Euro schools present across the country in different cities, right? They all have their own setup in different cities with a principal running the organization. But there is a head office in Mumbai which takes care of the functioning of all the Euro schools, right? So anything happening at the school level, suppose something happens in the class, a child is bullying another child, or something goes wrong in a class, so the class teacher will report the matter to the coordinators or to the principal, will be taking care of the matter right away in the school itself, not that matter will be reported directly to the head office. So the same way, there is a central government that takes care of the entire nation as a whole single unit, but there are state governments that take care of their own state, right? So in that state also, there are local self-governing bodies at the grassroots level that will take care of the people living in the villages and the towns and the small cities. So this is how decentralization. Suppose center is the main central unit. When we say decentralization, that means we are taking away the powers from the center and state and giving it to the people, right? So panchayats in the villages and municipalities in urban areas were set up for this matter, right? So they were directly under the control of the state governments. Local governments did not have any powers or resources till the amendments were made. So in 1992, the constitution was amended again to make the third tier of democracy more powerful and effective. That means to make the governance at the grassroots level more powerful and effective. So it is constitutionally mandatory to hold regular elections to the local government bodies. The seats for the scheduled caste, scheduled tribes and OBCs were reserved. At least 1/3 of all the positions were reserved for the women. The state election commission has been created in each state to conduct the panchayat and municipal elections. the state governments are required to share some power and revenue with the local government bodies so that they can carry out the governance process in a easy manner. Now, when we talk about the governance at the grassroots level, the Panchayati Raj system in India is very important and powerful system, right? Neda, switch on your camera. Sidra, switch on your camera. Right. So, when we talk about Panchayati Raj system, it is really a boon for the rural local government, right? And it is each village or a group of village in some states has a gram panchayat, right? So uh, we often call the president of this panchayat as the sarpanch or the panch, right? Sorry, they are directly elected by all the adult populations that are living in the ward or the village. It is the decision making body for the entire village. So any decision that has to be taken for the village is taken by the sarpanch. Right? Can you see this picture here? So this picture shows a small view of how the Gram Panchayat looks like. Right? Then the Panchayat works under the overall supervision of Gram Sabha. Very important to understand. Now, all the voters in the village are the members of the Gram Sabha, and it has to meet at least twice or thrice in a year to approve the annual budget of the Gram Panchayat and to review the performance of the Gram Panchayat. Now, the local government structure goes right up to the district level. So a few gram panchayat are grouped together to form a panchayat samiti or a block or a mandal. Okay. Now the members of this mandal or the elected or the representative body are elected by the panchayat members. And all the panchayat mandals or samitis in a district together will constitute a district, or we also called it as the Zilla Parishad, right? So members of the Lok Sabha and MLAs of that district and some other officials of other district level bodies are also its members. Now when we say Zilla Parishad, the chairperson is political head of the Zilla Parishad. Okay, now local government bodies exist for urban areas as well. Municipalities are set up in towns and municipal corporations are set up in the big cities. So both municipalities and municipal corporations are controlled by the elected bodies consisting of representatives. So when we say municipal chairperson is the political head of municipality, so on the other hand, mayor will head the municipal corporations. Okay. So we are almost towards the end of the session. So we can say that the system of local government is the largest experiment in the democracy conducted anywhere in the world. That's the third tier of the governance that we have added. So there are right now about almost 36 lakh elected representatives in the panchayats and all over the country. So this number is bigger than the population of many countries in the world if you see. So the constitutional status for the local government has helped to deepen the democracy in our country. Then also the emphasis that was given on the women's representation was a important step taken by the government of the country. And the elections that are held regularly also make sure that the governance that is happening at the local grassroots level happens properly. It is not only for the namesake that these government bodies are present, but they are actually there to safeguard the rights of the people, right? So before we recap the session, we will quickly have a small quiz, and then we will recap and end the session. The time is, we still have 10 more minutes, no? We will quickly have a quiz here, right? I'm just sharing my screen. Anyone has any doubt till here, whatever we have done?
No, ma'am.
No, ma'am.
Okay, great. Are you all able to see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Sidra, you have joined
Yes,
towards
ma'am.
the end of the session, so I would want you to start with the first question. Read the question quickly. Sidra, can you hear me? Hafsa, will you do it for me?
Ma'am, she's not there.
Sidra, are you there?
Yes, ma'am.
Where were you, my dear girl? Read.
Yeah. In terms of population, Uttar Pradesh is larger than ma'am D. Nepal.
No.
Russia.
Ma'am.
Yes, Russia is the correct answer. Yes, is anyone having a doubt here?
No, ma'am. No, ma'am.
Okay. So the next question is, Dharmin. Dharmin. Children, do not leave the session. I will be taking the attendance after this quiz. So in case you leave, you will be marked absent for today's session. Now quickly, Dharmin, can you hear me? Sarvajit?
Yes, ma'am. How can welfare services be provided effectively to the people living in a country which has central, state, and local government level?
Answer would be?
Through decentralization of power.
Very good. Through decentralization of power. Now this question will be answered by Taniyat.
Yes, ma'am. What ratio is reserved for women in local government? 2/3. A.
Anyone else?
Ma'am,
Ma'am, can I answer?
it's ma'am 1/3. 1/3.
1 by 3, not by 3. Okay, it is 1/3. This question will be answered by Jyotsna. Hurry up, Jyotsna.
Yes, ma'am.
Read. Don't read it in your mind. Read it so everyone can hear it.
Okay. How is decentralization of power beneficial to people at the local level? People at local level cannot take quick decisions and hence can rely on people at the center. People at power in central government have the authority to impose their ideas on local government. People living in village are aware of problems faced in rural areas and they can also address these problems efficiently. Ma'am, I think is A.
It is A.
Yes, ma'am.
Eh? Anyone else would want to give a try?
Ma'am,
Ma'am, it's C.
Ma'am, C.
It is C. Because people living in a local area will understand the problems better. That is why the third tier is added to the division of federal powers, no?
Okay.
Okay. This question will be answered by Farhan.
Which of the following can be considered as a training ground for democracy? Ma'am, B. Vidhan Sabha.
Vidhan Sabha. Are you sure?
Ma'am,
We
D.
are
Gram
talking about training grounds for democracy. Anyone want to give it a try?
Ma'am, Gram Sabha.
It will be Gram Sabha because that is the local grassroots level where the people work. They connect with the problems of the real life, of the problems that are faced directly by the people, right? So that is all considered as the training ground for the democracy. This question will be answered by Shivani.
A major step towards decentralization is taken in the year
Which year?
1980.
No. Anyone else would want to give a try?
Ma'am, I know. 1992.
Ma'am, 1990.
1992. Quickly in the next question. Which is the basic unit of Panchayati Raj system? Who will answer? Is Sohail there today? No? Anyone who knows the answer, quickly answer.
I think A.
The village panchayat? Are you
Yes.
sure? Right answer. Okay, next question. Okay, the next question is, which is the body that assists villagers in dealing with their day-to-day problems?
Ma'am, A. Gram Panchayat.
Gram Panchayat, yes. Next question. Which type of government do we have in our democracy?
Responsible and
Transparent.
Responsible and transparent. Who is responsible for overall supervision of panchayats?
Gram Sabha.
Gram Sabha. What is local government at the district level known as?
Ma'am, Zilla
Parishad.
Zilla Parishad. Great. So that means you have understood the chapter more or less, right? So we will quickly recap the session. Right. Are you able to see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Right. We'll quickly recap. All of you, one point, quickly read so that we can end the session.
Should I start?
Yes, you can.
Federalism is a system of government in which the power is divided between the central authority and various constituent units of the country.
Pranavi, the next point.
Yes, ma'am. There are 2 or more levels or tiers of a government. Ma'am, even the next one?
Yes.
The creation of linguistic states was the first and a major test for democratic politics in our country.
Okay. The next can be read by Sidra.
Yes, ma'am. Many old states vanished and many new states were created to ensure that people who spoke the same language lived in the same state. Ma'am, the next one too?
No, the next one will be read by Vivek.
The Constitution did not give the status of national language to anyone.
Vivek, your voice
Hindi
is
was
not clear. Jeel, read the next point.
Yes, ma'am.
Ma'am, our constitution did not give that one.
Yes. No, this many old states vanished.
Many old states vanished and many new states were created to ensure that people who spoke the same language lived in the same state.
Okay, Shamak, read the next one.
Our constitution did not give the status of national language to any one language. Hindi was identified as the official language. 21 other languages were recognized as scheduled languages.
Okay, then last point can be read by either Vaishnavi or Sufia. Anyone?
Ma'am, can I?
Yes.
Coalition governments. When power is taken away from central and state governments and given to local government, it is called decentralization.
And who will tell me what is coalition government? I have not defined it here.
Ma'am, may I?
Yes, my dear.
Ma'am, when a single party cannot score a majority in the Lok Sabha, so the parties which has its support join to form a coalition government. For example, the United Progressive Alliance.
Very good. So that's all for today's session. I hope the session was interactive and interesting for you all. It was informative, I think. So